Hello, my name is Eric, and today we're going to deploy a Streamlit app on an AWS EC2 instance. This is going to be a short video. It takes a lot of inspiration from what Bappy did with his own Streamlit app. What the spin that I put on it was adding the possibility to caption. First, let me show Bappy's video. So this is Bappy's video on how to deploy the application on EC2. It doesn't deviate much from it actually, so full props to him. And the spin that I did put on it was that I wanted to actually I'm gonna need this. So here's a picture of a dog, and I wanted to use a model on the back end to generate a caption for the image. That's gonna take a while to run, so actually get into the logic quickly. So here's the app where it shows the button for actually generating the caption, and then there's an option to hear the audio. It may not be heard on this computer, but the option is there. And I wanted to choose actually, this is a detail I'll get into later. I wanted to choose some lightweight models, so this is what you're seeing here. I could have chosen some other ones, but I did want it to be small enough and not too RAM intensive, not too storage intensive, so that I could use a lighter, cheaper EC2 instance. Because as you know, EC2 instances can be as pricey or as cheap as you want them to be, with the trade-offs being RAM, storage, mostly RAM and CPU. Um, so yeah, let's go back to the README. There we go. So first, pretty straightforward. You can just install the requirements file if you want to set it up directly. And for the instance types, let's talk about that briefly. So when you set up the instance, here's where you play with the configurations. See, this one says 1V CPU, 1 GB of memory, that's RAM, and it says 1 cent, basically 1 cent per hour. And as you start going, higher and higher, you'll see like, wow, this one is $7 per hour, but it has 384 gigabytes of RAM. So that's the type of thing you have to keep into account. I actually tested this a few times with different models and was looking at their memory output and was actually using not memory output, sorry. I was actually looking at GitHub code spaces as a reference to see how often it would crash on the lower configurations as sort of like a little test pilot. And yeah, it is very taxing, so that's why I opted for those lightweight variants. And here you have to allow HTTPS traffic from the internet. And I actually wanted to use all the storage available, but you don't have to, just depends on how intensive your application is going to be. Once you launch the instance and connect to it, you can run the Streamlit app. And by the way, let me make a pit stop here. When you make the instance, just like Babby said, make sure you add a port in security, edit inbound rules, networking, edit inbound rules. No, sorry, security. And then add this route for 000. And A501 is the port that Streamlit uses by default. So then go straight ahead and then connect to the EC2 instance. And as you run the the Streamlit app, you can actually see the external address that's actually being exposed to the world in a sense. Actually, if you even go to networking, you can see the address here. And all you do is like you add um the port number at the end. Sometimes it's a little slow, sometimes a little fast. You might have to play with the um with the CPU configurations to make sure you have enough juice to run it. Clearly, it looks like it's going to take a little bit more time. So just in case if I don't get to, it takes its sweet time at the end of the day. This is what actually, quick note, if you do stop and restart the instance, the address changes, so be careful with that. But once it works, this was my address at the time. So add the port A501, you run it, it's the same image, and then you get the caption. We were a small dog standing in the snow, which is exactly what we were seeing here.